Australia offers one of the highest standards of living in the world, but many people are asking one question: how much money do you really need to live comfortably in Australia in 2026? In this video, we'll break down rent, groceries, transport, electricity bills, healthcare, salaries, and show realistic monthly budgets for singles and families. Why everyone is talking about cost of living. Across Australia, one topic seems to dominate conversations more than anything else: the cost of living. Whether it's families trying to manage household budgets, young Australians saving for their first home, or migrants starting a new life, many people are feeling the impact of rising prices. Rent is becoming more expensive. Grocery bills are higher than they used to be. Electricity prices have increased. Petrol costs continue to fluctuate. And even simple things like buying coffee, eating out, or taking a family holiday now require more careful planning. So, what exactly happened? Why has the cost of living become one of the biggest concerns in Australia? One reason is inflation. Inflation simply means that the prices of goods and services gradually increase over time. Following the COVID pandemic, countries around the world experienced supply chain disruptions, labor shortages, and rising energy prices. Australia was no exception. Another major factor is housing. Australia's population has continued to grow, but the supply of homes has struggled to keep pace. As demand increased, rents in many cities climbed sharply. Energy costs have also played a role. Rising global oil and gas prices have pushed up electricity and fuel costs, affecting households and businesses alike. But despite these challenges, Australia remains one of the most desirable countries to live in. It offers high wages, excellent healthcare, world-class education, and one of the highest standards of living anywhere in the world. Which raises an important question: is Australia becoming too expensive? Or is the cost simply the price people pay for a better quality of life? To answer that question, let's break down the numbers and discover where Australians spend most of their money. Part 2. The biggest expense: housing. When Australians talk about the cost of living, one expense usually stands above everything else: housing. Whether someone is renting or paying a mortgage, accommodation takes the biggest share of income for many households. Over the past few years, house prices and rental costs have increased significantly across much of the country. Major cities such as Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane have experienced strong population growth, while the number of available homes has struggled to keep up. As demand increased, competition for housing became more intense, and that has pushed prices higher. Sydney remains Australia's most expensive city. Renting a one-bedroom apartment close to the city centre can easily cost more than $3,000 per month. Larger homes and family properties can cost considerably more. For many people, housing alone consumes a large portion of their monthly income. Melbourne is slightly more affordable than Sydney, but housing costs remain high compared with many parts of the world. Strong demand and limited supply have continued to place pressure on renters and buyers alike. Brisbane was once considered one of Australia's affordable capitals. However, rapid population growth and interstate migration have changed the picture. In recent years, rents have risen sharply, and finding affordable housing has become increasingly difficult. What used to be considered cheap is no longer as inexpensive as it once was. Popular regions such as the Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast have also experienced significant increases in property prices. Their beautiful climate and relaxed lifestyle continue to attract people from across Australia and overseas. But popularity often comes with a price. There are several reasons behind rising housing costs. Australia's population continues to grow. Migration has increased. Construction costs have risen. Labor shortages have affected the building industry. And in some areas, the supply of new homes has not kept pace with demand. The result is simple. More people are competing for fewer available properties. And when demand exceeds supply, prices usually rise. Despite high housing costs, Australians also earn some of the highest wages in the world. This helps offset some of the pressure. However, housing affordability remains one of the biggest challenges facing the country today. But housing isn't the only expense Australians have to worry about. Every week, millions of people head to supermarkets to buy the essentials. And many have noticed that grocery prices are no longer what they used to be. So how much does it really cost to put food on the table in Australia in 2026? Let's find out. Part 3. Groceries. How much does food really cost? No matter where you live in Australia, one thing is certain: everybody needs groceries. And in recent years, Australians have noticed that supermarket bills are becoming increasingly expensive. What used to cost $100 a week can now easily cost much more. Whether you're shopping at Woolworths, Coles, Aldi, or local markets, food prices have increased across many categories. Fresh produce, dairy products, meat, eggs, coffee. Even everyday essentials such as bread and rice have become more expensive. For many families, grocery shopping has become one of the biggest monthly expenses after housing. And while Australians enjoy access to high-quality food and strict safety standards, that quality often comes at a price. Of course, grocery costs depend heavily on lifestyle. A single person cooking at home regularly may spend between $100 and $150 per week. Couples often spend around $200 or more, and families with children can easily spend $300 to $400 every week. Eating healthy can sometimes cost more, but planning meals and buying in bulk can help reduce expenses. Many Australians are also turning to Aldi and local fruit markets to save money. Others are taking advantage of weekly specials and loyalty programs offered by supermarkets. There are several reasons behind rising food prices. Transport costs have increased. Energy prices are higher. Labor costs have risen. Extreme weather events have affected farming production. And global supply chain disruptions have also played a role. Combined together, these factors have made groceries more expensive than they were just a few years ago. Despite the higher prices, Australians still enjoy access to some of the freshest food in the world. And while grocery bills may be rising, many people believe the quality and variety available in Australian supermarkets remain among the best anywhere. Part 4. Eating out. Australia has one of the strongest cafe cultures in the world. Whether it's grabbing a coffee before work, enjoying fish and chips by the beach, or meeting friends for dinner, eating out is an important part of everyday life. But convenience and lifestyle often come at a price. In recent years, higher wages, increased energy costs, and rising food prices have pushed menu prices higher across the country. As a result, Dining out has become noticeably more expensive than it was just a few years ago. Yet despite rising prices, Australians continue to spend billions of dollars each year on restaurants, cafes, and takeaway food. Because for many people, eating out isn't just about food, it's also about enjoying time with family and friends. Of course, the cost of eating out depends heavily on personal choices. Some people enjoy cooking at home most days and only eat out occasionally. Others regularly buy takeaway meals or visit cafes several times a week. And these small expenses can quickly add up. Spending $10 extra each day may not seem like much, but over a year, that can amount to thousands of dollars. That's why many Australians try to balance convenience with home cooking, saving restaurant visits for weekends and special occasions. Running a restaurant in Australia is becoming increasingly expensive. Businesses face rising wages, higher electricity bills, increasing rent, and more expensive ingredients. Delivery app fees and insurance costs have also added pressure. As a result, restaurants have had little choice but to increase menu prices, and ultimately, those higher costs are passed on to customers. While eating out can be expensive, many Australians believe it's worth it. Good food, quality ingredients, and a relaxed lifestyle are part of what makes Australia unique. But after food and housing, another major expense affects almost everyone: transportation. From petrol prices to car ownership and public transport, getting around Australia isn't always cheap. So, how much does it really cost to travel in Australia? Let's find out. Part 5. Transportation costs. Australia is one of the largest countries on Earth, and because cities and suburbs are spread out, transportation plays a major role in everyday life. Whether it's driving to work, dropping children at school, or simply running errands, millions of Australians depend on cars. While major cities offer trains, buses, and ferries, public transport isn't always practical for everyone, especially for people living in suburban and regional areas. As a result, many households own one or even two vehicles. But owning a car involves much more than simply buying fuel. Registration, insurance, servicing, repairs, tires, and depreciation. These costs can quietly add thousands of dollars to yearly expenses. Fuel prices in Australia fluctuate regularly and are affected by global oil markets and exchange rates. Although public transport is available in major cities, many Australians still prefer the convenience of driving. But convenience comes with a price. Once registration, insurance, and maintenance are included, transportation becomes one of the largest expenses after housing and groceries. That's why many Australians are turning to smaller vehicles, hybrid cars, and fuel-efficient options. Others are using trains and buses more often to reduce monthly expenses. Some families are even choosing to keep one car instead of two. Several factors contribute to transportation costs. Fuel prices continue to fluctuate, insurance premiums have risen, vehicle prices remain high, spare parts and labor costs have increased, and registration fees vary from state to state. Combined together, these expenses make transportation a significant part of the average household budget. Despite the costs, Australians benefit from modern highways, reliable public transport systems, and some of the safest roads in the world. For many people, transportation isn't a luxury, it's simply a necessity. Despite the costs, Australians benefit from modern highways, reliable public transport systems, and some of the safest roads in the world. For many people, transportation isn't a luxury, it's simply a necessity. Part 6. Electricity, internet and phone bills. Housing, groceries, and transportation often receive the most attention. But there is another category of expenses that Australians simply cannot avoid. Utilities, electricity, internet, mobile phone plans, water bills. These may seem small individually, but together they represent an important part of every household budget. In today's world, staying connected is no longer a luxury. It has become a necessity. From working remotely and studying online to streaming movies and staying in touch with family, Australians rely heavily on electricity and internet services every day. Electricity prices have risen in recent years due to higher wholesale energy costs and increasing demand. Air conditioning during Australia's hot summers can significantly increase household electricity bills. Internet services are widely available across the country, and Australians enjoy relatively fast connections compared with many parts of the world. Mobile phone plans are competitive, with providers offering a range of options to suit different budgets. Streaming services have also become part of everyday life. While each subscription may seem affordable, several subscriptions combined can quietly add hundreds of dollars to annual expenses. Depending on your circumstances, there can still be costs for doctor visits, medications, dental treatment, and specialist care. And many Australians choose private health insurance to gain faster access to certain treatments and services. Part 7. Healthcare costs. One of the reasons millions of people choose Australia is its healthcare system. Australians enjoy access to modern hospitals, highly trained medical professionals, and some of the highest healthcare standards in the world. For Australian citizens and permanent residents, much of the healthcare system is supported through Medicare. Medicare helps cover many essential medical services, reducing the amount people pay out of their own pocket. However, healthcare in Australia is not always completely free. Depending on your circumstances, there can still be costs for doctor visits, medications, dental treatment, and specialist care. And many Australians choose private health insurance to gain faster access to certain treatments and services. For many Australians, Medicare covers a significant portion of healthcare costs. However, not all medical services are fully covered. Dental treatment is often paid separately. Private specialist appointments can involve additional costs. And some medications may require a co-payment. That's why many Australians choose private health insurance. It can help reduce waiting times for certain procedures and provide access to private hospitals and additional services. Families often view health insurance as an important part of financial planning. Australia's public healthcare system is highly regarded, yet many people still choose private health insurance for additional flexibility and convenience. Faster access to elective surgery, more choice of doctors, and extra benefits such as dental, physiotherapy, and optical cover are among the most common reasons. Whether private insurance is worthwhile often depends on individual circumstances and personal preferences. Compared with many countries, Australians generally have access to high-quality healthcare at a relatively affordable cost. And for many families, this remains one of the country's biggest strengths. By now we've covered housing, groceries, dining out, transportation, utilities, and healthcare. But how do all these costs come together in real life? How much money does a single person need? What about a couple? Or a family with children? Let's put everything together and calculate realistic monthly budgets for living in Australia in 2026. A single person renting a one-bedroom apartment and living a relatively comfortable lifestyle may spend around $3,500 per month. Living in Sydney may cost more, while sharing accommodation or living in regional areas could reduce expenses significantly. For couples, sharing housing and utility costs create some savings. However, overall spending still increases because of higher grocery, transportation, and lifestyle expenses. A typical couple may require around $5,000 per month for a comfortable lifestyle. Families face the highest expenses. Housing requirements increase. Grocery spending rises significantly. Transportation becomes more important. And children's education, activities, and entertainment add additional costs. For many Australian families, monthly expenses can easily exceed $7,000. Of course, these figures are only examples. Some Australians spend far less, others spend considerably more. Lifestyle choices have a major impact on financial outcomes. Living in a smaller city, cooking at home, using public transport, and avoiding unnecessary debt can dramatically reduce expenses. On the other hand, premium housing, frequent dining out, and luxury lifestyles can increase costs substantially. Where you live can be just as important as how you live. Australia's cost of living varies significantly from city to city, and choosing the right location can save thousands of dollars every year.